Hello, everyone. For those who are new, I'm very happy to have you here and very glad that you're here with us to learn more about Portugal. Before I head off to the next slides, just look at this picture. It's actually a picture of one of the beaches of the central coast of Portugal, which is gorgeous. You can see how pristine and natural it is, absolutely beautiful. And these beaches are definitely not overpopulated at all during the summer months. So they're perfect places to relax. And now you're already familiar, if you've joined us in the previous webinars, you're familiar with this map. It shows the different regions we've been talking about. And you can see the center of Portugal here. It's a very, very large region. So this central area has a coastline and comes into the interior on the border of Spain. And from the center, it's very, very easy to get there from Lisbon, from Porto, or get to other areas of the country. And here you have a quick little overview of some shots from the center of Portugal. So the center is, as I said, very, very large. And in the interior, you have a more mountainous landscape and very picturesque villages of granite and schist. So these are absolutely beautiful and super unique for the whole country. And along the coastline, you'll find many fishing villages, beautiful beaches. There are also many thermal spring areas in this central part of the country, this central region. And it's full of history, heritage, culture. There's so many influences. You've got Templar history, you've got convents, you've got monasteries. You can easily spend 1 week of vacation in the central area just to discover it all. It's not too much. There's a wide range of experiences to choose from. And this central area really isn't that much talked about, if you think about it, because everyone's heard of the Douro Valley, obviously the cities, the Algarve has always been super popular, and the Alentejo, which we talked about last week, has been growing in tourism also, and due to its wines. But this central region is probably the least spoken of, and it's super, super interesting. And for sure, at least 3 full days to really discover this area. So let's get started. If you're already used to our presentations, you know you have a list of many experiences which we divide between couples and families, but these are interchangeable and can always be adapted to the different interests of the travelers, of the families, the age groups. Whatever you need, we can handle. It's just so you can have a layout of ideas. And we're going to go through some of these with pictures, which is much more interesting. So starting from the northern part of this central region, we have these called Passadiços de Paiva, which are super, super fun to enjoy, these walkways along the river in this mountainous valley. Absolutely beautiful. So on the bottom, you have the Paiva River. And the Paiva River is used for canyoning, canoeing, river rafting, also river trekking. And on the picture, you can see some of our clients, they did this a couple of weeks ago, and some will be doing this next week. It's super, super wonderful at this time of year because the water is really fresh. They have a thermal outfit on, and they just do these walkways through the river, jumping into the water, some cables, super easy. So it's good for any age. And great fun for couples, for families. Another new thing that we just inaugurated recently is the Ponte de Aroca, which is this suspended bridge right here that you can see. It's the world's longest pedestrian suspended bridge. And it crosses from one side of the mountain to the other. And you get here by doing some of these walkways, or you can try to get a little bit closer and just do this climb here. So it's an experience, definitely. And going down to Aveiro. Aveiro is known as the Venice of Portugal. You can see these gondola type boats. They were used to get seaweed from the ocean, and now they're basically used for tourism purposes. So through Aveiro, this lovely city, there are many canals of water where these boats will go through. They're called muliceiros, and you can take it privately or with some other people as a group. and just enjoy going through the small town, going through the canals, observing the different buildings. One of the great traditions in Aveiro are what you see in this picture above. These are sweets. These are called ovos moles de Aveiro, which are soft eggs of Aveiro. And I'm going to explain this a little bit further down our presentation because these are part of the convent sweet traditions. But just keep in mind, this is absolutely delicious. We usually always include a tasting or even a workshop to make a few. They're super easy to make and great fun, but eating them is really the best. And in Aveiro, very close by, there's an area near the beach called Costa Nova, which are these beautiful fishermen houses that have been almost all renovated, absolutely gorgeous and colorful, and this long walkway along the water, super fun to enjoy, a bike ride, also some oyster tasting after a bike ride or before, and tasting of the sweet ovos moles as well. Aveiro is very well known for its great seafood and great fish. And not far from Aveiro, there's an absolutely fabulous and famous factory, the Vista Alegre factory. And in the complex, there's a hotel, there are shops. The factory remotes to the early 1900s. Actually, the owner was a major entrepreneur. He bought the land, built the factory, and he was a very well-traveled man. He was in China and was fascinated by the fabulous porcelain and china dishes and cups and everything he saw there. And he wanted to bring this to Portugal, and he did. He built the factory and he created a fabulous production that exists to this day. This factory is functioning now, and the pieces that are created there are absolutely fabulous. Most of them are hand painted. They have a great museum to see the numerous pieces of art and china that were created during these years. He had the entire property has a number of houses that now have been transformed into hotels. He built a church. He had a school for the children, a theater as well for workshops for the workers. Everyone was well paid, everyone was well fed, well taken care of. So this was really innovative for the time. And now it's a great place to visit, to buy some pieces, obviously. The church, actually, it exists and it's used for some weddings and for mass as well. Some of the rooms are built around the church, and there's actually one special room that has a balcony overlooking the center of the church to be able to see mass, which was what the owner did at the time. And moving along, one of the best kept castles in Portugal, in Santa Maria da Feira, this one here on the top left corner. It's absolutely beautiful and pristine. Another beautiful place to visit is the Church of Our Lady of Vogel, right here on the right side, with all of these beautiful tiles on the exterior. The interior of this church is also absolutely gorgeous with lots of tile working. The exterior is simply unique. It's one of the only churches in Portugal with all of this beautiful tile painting on the exterior. Another amazing place to visit is further down, closer to the city of Coimbra, the Underground Museum of Caves Aliança. This underground museum, besides being a wine production property, there are many pieces of art that were collected by the owner, and they are there to be visited, to be viewed. And it's fabulous to be able to go through this entire underground museum. Where these barrel rooms are, it's possible to organize a private dinner as well. I've already been to a dinner in this place, and it's fabulous. Also, wine tasting is possible here, so it's a great place to visit. For kids, along this area near Aveiro, there's a codfish museum. Most of you may know that codfish is a very popular dish in Portugal, and we have hundreds of recipes of how to make cod. But it's usually always the dried, salted cod. So many kids don't even know what the cod really looks like fresh. And this cod museum has numerous aquariums with the actual codfish that can be observed. Also, in Coimbra, there's a place called Little Portugal, which is basically the miniaturization of a number of famous monuments and museums throughout Portugal, and they're all kids-sized. So can you imagine all of these beautiful buildings, but kid-sized? They can go in the door, they can go up the steps, and adults have to just watch. It's beautiful and super, super fun. There's also falconry and beekeeping. All of these types of workshops can be organized for children, for adults. And there's a dinosaur park with the actual life-size dinosaur models throughout the park. It's really, really cool. This dinosaur park is further down along the coast, actually not far from Lisbon. And this beautiful place you're seeing here is called the Bussaco Palace. It's absolutely gorgeous and right next to an amazing park. This park is a beautiful place to walk around with a biologist, for example, a specialist guide to explain all of the trees and the flora in the park. And it's also possible to have a lunch at the Bussaco Palace with wine tasting as well, or just visit the wine cellar. In the top right corner, you can see the roasted piglet. This is a very traditional Portuguese dish, and it's well known in this central area called the area of Mialhada, very close to Coimbra. And that's where the best restaurants are for this leitão, the bairrada. The area is bairrada. This is absolutely delicious and a must try when traveling along this area, usually with chips and with a sparkling wine. Absolutely delicious. And now we're in Coimbra, and this is absolutely gorgeous. It's a place that everyone must visit, the Joanina Library. This is a unique library, and it's gold leaf on the walls all over, fresco paintings on the ceilings. The books are centuries old. These books can actually be requested and viewed and used for studies, for research. It's just a matter of making this request to the university, and they allow it or not. These books are all kept pristinely. And usually the way books are kept in these type of libraries is with bats. So these bats are maintained in these libraries, and in the evening, they will eat any types of bugs that may try to destroy the sheets of the books. And you can imagine that these would be destroyed if this wasn't the case, and they're well kept for many, many years. So these are beautiful tours to do in the University of Coimbra. And here you can see the Joanina Library is in this main square on the opposite side of this picture. This is the square that is the main area of the University of Coimbra where the law school was. And this is the clock tower in Coimbra, which the students of Coimbra nickname as the bitch. Sorry, but it's true because it rings on the hour and would wake the students up. And here on the corner, you can see the Coimbra Fado. The Coimbra Fado is a very specific tradition. We have the Lisbon Fado, which many of you have heard of. It's UNESCO property. But the Coimbra Fado is only sung by men to this day. And normally it's 3, it could be more or less, but this is the typical with the Portuguese guitar playing and the singer. This was done to serenade the ladies. So the songs were all romantic. And this is why the gentlemen were the ones to sing the Coimbra Fado. And here on the right side, you're wondering what this is. These are traditions of Coimbra. Coimbra used to be the capital of Portugal in the 1200s. And also was one of the oldest and first universities of Europe. So there's much tradition in this city. And in Coimbra, the students wore an academic outfit. And why did they do this? They did this to not distinguish social standards. So everyone wore the same thing, and no one was known to be rich or poor. They all wore their suit. So the ladies would wear a white shirt with a tie, a black jacket, and a black skirt. The skirt always under the knee, stockings and shoes, not high heels. And the gentleman would wear a normal gentleman's suit with a long tail jacket. So this was tradition. Also the cape. You can see the cape on the fado singers. This was J.K. Rowling's inspiration for the Harry Potter, these capes. And these capes are used by the university students, and they were used for the longest time. They were removed at a time when we were in dictatorship, but then they came back, and Coimbra has the strongest university. So then what happens when freshmen come into the university? They, they have their traditions. They baptize the freshmen in the Mondig River. And this is myself and my husband. At the time, we had no idea when we were being baptized by our godparents, which are also attributed once we get into the university. So Coimbra is very important to me, actually, and a great tradition for the university in Portugal. And here you can also see, this is another tradition. When you finish the university, you wear a top hat and you add the colors of your course to the outfit. And this is myself, my husband, and our daughter. And she was already being initiated in the university traditions in Coimbra. She's now a licensed veterinarian, so we're very proud of her. And in Coimbra, you also have the most famous love story in Portugal, the love story of Dom Pedro and Inês de Castro. So Inês de Castro was the lady in waiting of Dom Pedro's wife, Dona Constança. And well, they had an affair. Once Dona Constança passed away, Dom Pedro decided to live with Dona Inês as a married couple. And they lived together with their three children. But this was not looked well upon by the court or by the king. And the king condemned this relationship, and he was pressured by the court that this should not go on. So he had Dona Inês de Castro murdered. And this devastated Dom Pedro, obviously. And once Dom Pedro became a king, he had her murderers assassinated by pulling out their hearts. And he was known as the Cruel because of this. Also, he had Dona Inês crowned as queen because he said that they secretly married. No one knows if that is true or not, but he had her crowned. He also had her remains taken from Coimbra to the monastery of Alcobaça, where he had these beautiful tombs built, the one for her and the one for himself. So they are both buried in the monastery of Alcobaça with their feet facing each other, so that once the afterlife and their souls are risen from the dead comes, they will be facing each other. And this is the utmost love story in Portugal, and it was immortalized in stone, which you can see in this monastery. And one of the traditions in the Quinta das Lágrimas, which is part of one of the lovely hotels of Coimbra, there's a part of the waterway there that has red stones underneath, and the legend says that this was the blood of Dona Inês. And here we are in the Church of Santa Cruz in Coimbra, and this church holds the remains of our first king, Dom Afonso Henriques, who is buried here. And near Coimbra, we also have many Roman ruins that can be visited. And not far on the way south, very close to Fatima, you can also find these caves, which are absolutely fascinating and can also be visited. And here you have Fatima, which is an amazing place, a pilgrimage, a sanctuary, absolutely gorgeous. And you have the monastery of Alcobaça that I just spoke about, and the monastery of Batalha, which is an architectural wonder. And now we're at the convent suites. Actually, Alcobaça has one of the most famous pastry shops for convent suites. So as I had mentioned before, the soft eggs of Aveiro are part of the convent suite tradition, and there are loads of convent suite recipes. And why are they called convent suites? If any of you may have heard, you'll know. If not, I'll tell you. The nuns in convents, they use the egg white to stiffen their habits when they ironed them out. So they were left over with many yolks. and they decided to do something with the yolks. They started adding sugar and found out that they were creating wonders. And then they actually decided to do something a bit naughty, which was put this mixture between communion host and make believe they were taking communion. And that's how those soft eggs of Aveiro came to be, because the wafer on the outside resembles the communion host. And there's a few other sweets with that wafer. And then there's just many others that you can see, for example, in these pictures that are just absolutely delicious. They mix almond, they mix flour and caramel, and it's just, you know, wonderful. This is another type of foodie tour to do throughout the country. Also, I just remembered, there's in November in the monastery of Alcobaça, a convent sweet festival. So it's 3 days of, you know, deliciousness. You just have to diet before and after. And going down along the coast, we come to Nazaré. So Nazaré got on the map after McNamara surfed the highest wave ever. And this is the view from up the hill in a place called, actually the place in Portuguese, it's sítio. And you can see this amazing view of the Nazaré beach, which is absolutely gorgeous. And Nazaré is typical for the fishing wives, the drying of fish in the sun. They still do this. They still dry out the fish on these racks. And these ladies, they're known to wear 7 skirts. And most of them actually dress to style to this day. The fort as well. So these are all really, really beautiful towns to visit, to have a great lunch, to just enjoy. And, you know, prepare yourself. Sorry, I didn't warn you before. This is a tradition from Caldas de Rainha. So here on the left, we have the Caldas de Rainha main square with the market, the vegetables and fruits, and we have the typical and traditional pottery of Caldas. So this is something you'll find on every corner. These little cups, which are nice little tricks to play maybe on a friend. Fill this with coffee and just have them find out what's there afterwards. So this was just a fun tradition that a ceramic artisan made many years ago for one of the kings of Portugal, who requested something special be made for him. This is a thermal area, Caldas de Rainha, and the nobility, the court, they would go here for their vacation, for their, you know, week off, or just to relax and enjoy the thermal waters. And the king requested that a special piece be made for him. So he actually enjoyed the audacity of the piece that was made, and this became popular, and the jet set nobility of the time decided to start buying a lot of these ceramic pieces. And now they're just jokes between friends and the typical tradition of this region. And now we're in Óbidos. Óbidos is an absolutely beautiful medieval town, very small, built inside the fort of the castle. The castle still stands, and right next to it is a hotel, one of the pousadas of Portugal. In Óbidos, there are many festivals throughout the year. There's the medieval festival, there's the chocolate festival, there's the Christmas festival. We love the medieval festival. And if you dress to style, that you can see here in these pictures, these are a number of years ago, but if you dress to style, you don't pay the entrance fee, and you just enjoy all of the fun activities, the food. It's a blast. And we always, as locals, we look forward to this every year, which we hope will return soon. And another amazing tradition in Óbidos that we love is the cherry liquor, which is famous in this area, in a chocolate cup. So you drink the liquor and then you eat the cup, but not after you get a refill. So remember, always get a refill. And then you eat the chocolate cup. And now we're off to the Berlinga Islands. These islands are off of Peniche. Peniche is further down from Nazaré and Óbidos, and it's also good for surfing. A cute little town, and you get a boat to go to these Berlinga Islands, which are amazing. It's just nature. There's really not much there. There's a hostel and a restaurant, and these gorgeous, pristine waters and little banks of sand to just enjoy for a day trip. And this is the coast of the center of Portugal. Beautiful, very high cliffs. windy, great for surfing, kite surfing. And as you can see, surfing is super, super popular here. Also, getting some seafood, picking it yourself, making some delicious mussels. It's a fun experience. It's a great way to understand how the fishermen do this. And now we're going off to Tumad. Tumad is a beautiful town with an amazing convent of Christ that you can see on the left picture. This is just Templar history at its best. This is a beautiful place to visit. Also, the center of the town is absolutely gorgeous. There's a synagogue in Tumar. There's great Jewish heritage in the center of Portugal. This castle here, Castle Valmoral, it's in a little island in the middle of a river, and the only way to get to it is by boat. Also possible to visit, and it's also possible to enjoy some canoeing along this river. And here you have some fun water sports to enjoy. There's quite a few number of dams, the Montargil, the Aguieira, the Castelo de Bode, and then there's a number of rivers as well, the Zizir. All of these have numerous activities with water to enjoy as families, as couples, with older children, with little children. It's just great fun. And here you can see the amazing schist and granite villages of the center. There's a number of them, and they're the most traditional of the country. So you have Piodon, you have Monsanto, you have Surtelha, you have Belmont, you have a number of places to just enjoy and visit. And here, this was actually on Monday. We went very close to one of the schist villages. We went to the area of Lausanne, and I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to the hotels. We went to actually inspect a hotel, and I did something I had never done before. I tried an electric bike, and I can't believe it. It's the best thing in the world. I want one. You can actually go uphill and not feel the inclination at all. It's like flat land. It's amazing. I had never tried it, and I wasn't sure I could believe it. It's true. So me and my son did this uphill to the castle of Lausanne, and you can see this is nature at its best. This is just gorgeous. These wooden walkways, you can walk as well if you don't want a bike, from the center of town. It's about 5 kilometers. So it's the quickest thing in the world on a bike. And then from the castle to the left going down, there's a river beach, which is very common also in the central interior of Portugal, finding a lot of these river beaches that are absolutely gorgeous and pristine. Another fun thing to do, this is a number of years ago, my son, really little, and we had this farming experience in one of the schist villages. We actually milked the goats. These are the goats that belong to the village people. They have to milk their goats every day or every 2 days. They make their fresh cheese, which we did with this lady. She taught us how to do it. Then we went to make some wood oven cooked bread. We did everything ourselves, made the bread, let it rise, went to one of those river beaches, walked down, had a nice lunch. And then as an afternoon snack, we enjoyed our cheese and our bread, which was absolutely delicious, with some homemade jams, some jellies, some fruits. This is just Portugal at its best. And speaking of the Jewish tradition, in a town called Castelo de Vide, there's a synagogue in Belmont as well. And these Jewish quarters are absolutely beautiful to understand, to walk through, maybe to speak to a specialist in the region and learn a bit more about this heritage in the area. Also including Tumar, and not forgetting that Lisbon also has a synagogue. And we have Serra da Estrela, so the mountain of the star. This is the highest point on continental Portugal. The highest point of Portugal is on the Azores, the Pico Island. But Serra da Estrela is the highest point, and it's where it snows, and where we can actually play with some snow and do a little bit of sledding. Skiing is not a popular thing here. There's not enough snow for that. In the summer, it's also absolutely gorgeous to visit. And one of the most important things to know, to try in Serra da Estrela is the cheese. The cheese is absolutely delicious, and everyone who loves cheese loves Serra da Estrela cheese. And the last point, very, very close to the tip of the central region, is the town called Almeida. Last week, I showed you a star-shaped town in the Alentejo region called Elvas, and this one is in the central region. So Almeida is also built as a star shape, so it's a fort with the whole town built inside, and it's absolutely amazing to see this from the sky. And now we're going off to our preferred hotels and the ones we recommend in the central region of Portugal. And as you know, we divide these by luxury, premium, boutique. The luxuries will be the 5 stars, the premiums, the 4, and the boutiques are a mix, and they're just smaller properties, a very cozy style, and lovely decor, which we adore. We're going to focus on a few of these. And here you have the map that we normally show you to understand in the best way possible the location of the hotels. So we have here the Areias do Seixo, which is one we're going to talk about. This is very close to Lisbon, actually. We have the São Lourenço, the Casa São Lourenço, which is number 4, and it's very close to the Serra da Estrela region. We have the Casas do Coro, which is the furthest north in the center, right here, number 7, Casas do Coro. We have Luge Houses, number 11, very close to Fatima, so not too far from Coimbra. It's actually a very good central location. We have the Lausanne Palace, which is number 14, great for visiting the schist villages. And then we have number 23. Here you have a close-up on the left corner. 23 is right in the center of Coimbra. So let's go off. And starting in Coimbra, we have the Sapiência Boutique Hotel. It's a very small property, and it's right in the heart of the university central area. So right here is the Joanina Library on this corner. This is the entrance door, and you have the main square of the university. This is a perfect place to stay to visit the center of Coimbra. Very relaxing. Some of the rooms have a kitchenette, which is great. A lovely rooftop with a view of the Mondego River. So absolutely perfect. Only 22 rooms and apartments. So a great boutique property. And it's not far from Porto. It's not far from Coimbra. And they have also a restaurant on property for those who stay at the hotel and for external guests as well. And the Palácio de Lausanne. So this is where I was on Monday evening and inspected this property, which is really lovely. The palace building is gorgeous with beautiful living areas, living spaces, great for families and couples to just sit and chat and relax. A lovely restaurant. The young chef is superb. The food is amazing. And the rooms, the Palace Superior rooms, what we recommend most are wonderful. The hotel invested in a bike center. So now they have numerous electric bikes, road bikes, mountain bikes, helmets, the baskets for children, little kids' bikes, everything you could need to go off and visit the schist villages. And you can actually do this by biking. A few schist villages are about 20 kilometers away, and you can bike to them on an electric bike in an hour, which is absolutely perfect. And you can see it's a small property, only 46 rooms. And going off to Luge Houses. So here you have Luge Houses, which is very close to Fatima. The sanctuary of Fatima is about 5 minutes away. Actually, from the end of the property, it's possible to take a trail through the forest and get to the sanctuary. So this property was built by a young couple, and it was built to resemble a small town. So you've got the separate buildings with different houses. So they're different rooms. You've got the worshiping center. They don't call it church, but it's as if it was, because every town has a place of worship. They have the kiosk, which is an actual kiosk they had brought in, which is now the pool bar. The pool was made as a washing area, so it's a lifted pool in rock and stone. It's really, really beautiful. And one of the special secrets of this property is they had a cave that they found when they were building, and this cave is used as the spa room, so for treatments, for massages. And it's really special to be in this area where there are actually numerous underground caves, and to be able to have a treatment in one of these caves. So only 15 rooms, very small, and a very unique place to stay. And the restaurant only serves the guests on property. And you can see it's not far from Porto or from Lisbon, and a great stop along the center because it's really smack in the middle. And Areias do Seixo, one of the loveliest boutique hotels in Portugal. Areias do Seixo is really special, really unique. It's built on a cliff area. You can get to the ocean by climbing down a walkway and some stairs, but you can see beautiful views of the ocean from the hotel. They also have a gorgeous vegetable garden, which is actually used often for weddings. It's so beautiful. And they have villas. So the main rooms in the main house, this is adults only. And adults only, it could be used for kids over 16. But the villas are for families. So many of the villas have their own pool as well, which is great. And this is a beautiful property to relax and enjoy the central area, enjoy these beautiful beaches. It's not far from a small town where there's surfing as well. So a great choice. And this is Casa de São Lourenço, which is in the Serra da Estrela, the mountain area. And this is great for nature lovers, for those who want to do some trekking. There's walkways from the hotel. There's also a factory that belongs to the hotel, which is the Burrell factory. And they make from Burrell wool, they make the cloaks, well, tapestry nowadays they make many things, even insulation for some rooms or for walling or decoration. But the Burrell was used for the shepherds because it's waterproof and it's very warm. So it was a wool that they made their cloaks from. And now this was reinvented to make many other pieces of either clothing or decor. And this factory can be visited by those who stay at the hotel. So it's really small as well, 21 rooms, and the restaurant panoramic is absolutely beautiful, the views from the windows of the restaurant. And off to the very north, we have Casas do Coro, and also very unique. Many of these houses were fully renovated. Some were newly built, but most were houses from this tiny little town called Marialva, which still has the remains of the castle. It's a beautiful place to stay. From here, there's a number of places to visit. Most of them are considered in the north of Portugal, and we'll talk about those next week, so I won't get into them now. But if you're with me, you'll remember this is a great place to stay for those who may be interested in visiting the Douro Valley and one of the most beautiful areas of the Douro Valley. So Casas do Coro, only 12 room suites and 7 villas. We love the villas. They're absolutely beautiful. And that was our center in a nutshell. I hope I didn't forget anything really important, but it's a lot of information already. And we want to keep some secrets on our side as well to share with you for your clients. I'm going to try to click on this and see if it will show up on the screen that I shared. If not, I'll stop sharing and share again. Yes. And I'm going to. There you go.
I found a different region, inhabited by legends and mystery, of ancient arts and walled cities, of endless cloisters and victories that lifted monasteries. Land of kings and queens, of tragic and everlasting loves, of the knowledge pillars, of the house of Portuguese culture. I found a different landscape of mountains and glacial valleys, of rivers embracing the earth and waves touching the sky, islands with hidden treasures, and sacred places where generations meet. I found a land where the past is recreated with flavors that linger on the plate, and traditions more and more alive. I choose a different region. I choose the center of Portugal.